I remember a while back, there was kind of this big wave of concerns and questions about Shopify's app and the tracking. And to be fair, the app's, it's had its evolution and changes. It was originally owned by Shopify. I think now it's owned by Meta or vice versa. Like it actually changed hands of like who is owning and maintaining it. But the long story short is, look, if you're the majority, I'd probably guess, of Shopify brands and stores out there, and you do decent business but nothing crazy, I think the app works great. You get pixel and conversion API server side tracking out of it. It passes back all the parameters to match up with your catalogs and all that stuff. So from like a data standpoint, it's pretty solid. Does it squeeze every last single drop out of a potential data connection? No. But it's a free, very quick and easy to set up app. So I think for a lot, we always recommend to go that route wherever possible and wherever it makes sense. One of the things with it is it's designed for out of the box, right? So if you want to do anything custom outside of the typical e-commerce funnel and flow of, page view, content, add to cart, purchase, all that stuff. If you want to do something custom, it's not going to do that. It's kind of just intended for out of the box e-commerce, but it does that well. So is it perfect? No, it's not perfect, but I don't think you're, at a major disadvantage or it's detrimental if you're using it. I think it works just fine for a lot of brands and takes a lot of the guesswork out of it, because anytime you go outside of something, you start doing custom things, there's more things that can to be considered. But no, I think it's pretty solid. And for a lot of stores, it's totally adequate. If you're at a size and a scale with traffic and volume and revenue and everything where a small incremental lift in your overall kind of data would offset the cost of putting that all in and maintaining it, sure, explore. There are other solutions that are a little more advanced, but like I'd say for the average store and advertiser, it does a really good job.
I want to come back to what you're saying for like when you want to squeeze things a little bit more and like when that starts to make sense. But can we back up one step? Like, okay, so the Shopify setup, I think most people listening to this will understand, but just for the sake of making sure we get everybody, that's literally you go into Shopify, you go into sales channels, you install Meta, and you just like go through the setup process. You select max data sharing or whatever your settings need to be. And that sets up the pixel on the front end. I'm saying words I might not fully understand. Front end and then back end is conversion API. Is that fair?
Correct. Yeah, it's called the Facebook and Instagram Shopify sales channel app still, but yeah, you go in and in the settings, there's a section for data sharing, and you can connect your business manager and your data set or pixel ID and everything. And I'd recommend setting it to maximum. There's a couple levels, set it to maximum data sharing, and that'll handle, to your point, pixel. It'll handle server side events. And one of the things that we can dive into later, but one of the really important things when you have pixel and server side is that they deduplicate properly, because in an ideal setup from Meta's standpoint, Andrew, we were talking about like what does an ideal setup look like? You're supposed to send a pixel event, which is a front side event, and a server side event for every event. So if I go to Zach's store and I go through and I make a purchase, that purchase event for me should send a pixel and a server side event, but they should both be carrying a unique identifier called an event ID to deduplicate, so it doesn't count as two purchases because I only made one purchase. That's the best practice setup to ensure you're capturing that event. But if you don't deduplicate them, then you have overcounting and overreporting and all sorts of issues. So the app handles all of that for you, which is why I think it's a really good option. So it'll automatically take care of all that. But correct, yeah, Brad, you set it up, connect it, and you're off to the races. You really don't. Actually, Andrew, there was a founders member the other day who was like rebooting their store, and we went through and set it up, and like I think it was like a minute and a half on a call, and he's just like, oh, like that was it. I was like, that's it, buddy, you're all set. So